ChatGPT is considered a public use tool,
Right.
and you've just completely revoked all of your attorney-client privilege unless every single agent in your org has an enterprise license for these softwares that don't allow it to have training data or anything like that. And I don't think people appreciate the risk that that creates. So we went out, we vetted all these models. We bench test them to understand the strengths and weaknesses of the different models. And I'll tell you, like, probably 90% of what we do is handled by Anthropic Sonnet 4.6, Gemini 3.0 Pro, and we use very little GPT because, like, the new GPT 5.3 scores the worst on all of our benchmarking.
Hi there, welcome to Real Life in Real Estate. I'm Mark Peebles, here to help you live your best life and achieve ultimate success. And the guest that we have today is really going to blow your mind, I'm sure, because every conversation that I've had with him, usually he explains something that is blowing my mind. He also is going to help you live a better life. I truly believe that. His name is Jeremiah Taylor, and I first heard of Jeremiah from James Dwiggins, who's also been a host on the podcast. Actually, I was connected to James by Jeremiah. He is very much a connector, but James had spoken at a conference and mentioned a product that I was like, we should probably look into this. And that product is called BrokerBot. It is an AI platform specifically designed for agents. We're going to learn all about that, how it came to be, but how it can make your life better, and really how AI can make your life better, all from an expert in the subject. His name is Jeremiah Taylor. Thank you, Jeremiah, for being with us today.
Yeah, my pleasure. Thanks for having me on, Mark. And I always get a little nervous when people set the bar really high with expectations, because I'm like a low expectations guy, that's how I wow you every time, by the way, is we set low expectations and over deliver.
That's exactly right. And honestly, I will say, because I own a brokerage, your company has absolutely over delivered. And that we're not even on here to sell the company today. But really, BrokerBot is a top tier product, and the service is outstanding. So we've loved working with you guys. And let's just really set the bar low, because you're coming to us from prison today.
Yeah. This is as James Dwiggins said, this is my prison cell. It's in Tucson, Arizona. You cannot see the padded wall next to me, and no, I will not pan to it. But it's good. It's a nice little office.
Yeah. Before we came onto the podcast, Jeremiah was like, your background looks all nice and it looks like I'm in prison. So, I just had to make a statement about that. So Jeremiah, you've been around this industry for 25 years. How did we get from, I want to go into real estate, all the way to where we are today in your career?
Yeah. The short answer is, like most things in life, gradually, then suddenly. And by the way, when I'm looking down, it's because I have a thing to fidget with. If you were like me and you have ADHD and you want your phone out of your hand, you just need a fidget.
That's right.
Anyways, look, I'm a car guy, by the way. I'm not. If you ask me, like, if somebody at the grocery store says, "What do you do?" I'll be like, "Oh, I'm a car guy." And 25 years ago, I was wrenching on hot rods and building tuner cars and just having a blast doing it. And my mom did mortgage, and my grandma did real estate. And my mom kind of got me because she goes, "Hey, Jeremiah, if you ever want to own those cars that you're working on and not just work on them, you should probably get into real estate." And I was like, got me. And it's been a crazy ride, man. I was a kind of a not great student. School didn't work for me. I started some college. And then when I discovered that, like, my mom was great because she had me do kind of every job in the business. So I started literally making photocopies.
Yep.
And then I learned how to process loans, learned how to originate, learned how to sell real estate. I kind of learned it step by step that way. But this industry is cool because it lets you, like, if you're just somebody that's driven, that is willing to outwork everybody else, like, there is no ceiling. And I think that's what's been really fun for me. I've been an executive in a public company. I've overseen like the 5th largest real estate search portal in the US. I've done $40 million SaaS contracts with Anywhere, Realogy, built AI platforms, sold companies, bought companies. Like, I don't know. I just like, you kind of just put one foot in front of the other and the next opportunity shows up, and you do the right thing and care about people and work hard and have fun.
Yeah. Are you still having fun 25 years in?
I think it's harder than it's ever been, and I'm having more fun than I've ever had. I feel like, sometimes when you say you want to do something, the universe or God or whoever you believe in will test your resolve. And when I started this company, we founded this company in 2023 with my co-founder, Ian. When we started, I had a really high-paying executive job. I worked on Zoom. I bought and sold some exotic cars for fun. Like, a lot of people would look at that and be like, that's the dream life. That's what I want.
Right.
But in life, there's a really good book. I think it's called like The Regrets of the Dying or something. I don't know if you've read that, but it's, they interview these people that are kind of at the end of their life and they're reflecting back and they're saying like, what would you change? What would you have done different? And like the biggest thing that these people typically say is like, I wish I would have taken more risk, or I wish I would have spent more time with my family. Those are like the top 2 topics. And so I think for me, I've just always had this like nag in the back of my brain that I'm capable of more than just like being a cog in a wheel and like actually starting something. And there's a very real thing that you can have a level of success, but at a certain level of financial success, there's only one path, and it's entrepreneurship.
Right.
And so when those two things meet, I think that there's a very real thing where you don't want to like be laying there about to croak and think like, I wish I would have started a company and tried a thing.
Right.
I don't know. I don't know if that's like if that's helpful to anybody, but
no, I think that's great. I mean, think about what we do. I mean, we're here helping agents, right? And so I think for so many agents, that was the push to get into real estate, right? They wanted to take that risk. And then so many of them get in and they're like, oh my gosh, this wasn't as easy as my realtor made it look, and then they realize it's a hard business. But, as an entrepreneur, that's which most realtors should, every realtor should look at what they do as an entrepreneur, as a business person, building their business. But it is hard. How do you, as someone who started so many businesses, been successful, how do you get through all of the hard crap you have to deal with?
Life's hard, get over it. Anything worthwhile is going to be harder. So know that. And there's a really, I grew up with a dad that fed me these Jim Rohn quips all the time. I don't know if you know who Jim Rohn is.
Oh yeah, I know Jim Rohn.
And it's funny because when you're a kid, it's really annoying. And you almost like disdain them. And then you get older and then people ask you questions and then they just click. And so it's like the one that's clicking for me right now is don't wish you were easier, wish you were better. And so I think that there's a world where like you get enough of that stuff in your brain and it gets kind of shitty and you just self-talk yourself and you go like, hey, don't wish you were easier, just wish you were better. And then it like pattern interrupts you out of, okay, the woe is me, this is hard. Like, look, this week, Mark, maybe the most challenging week of my professional career.
Wow.
We're a very small team. So we have a total of 8 people that work at BrokerBot, and we're supporting almost 25,000 realtors across the country. Last week.
Incredible. Wow.
Yeah. Oh, it gets better. Last week, Maximo is our like head of customer success, amazing human, works as hard or harder than anybody I've ever met. Had a baby. Well, he didn't have a baby. His wife had a baby.
I was going to say, that's amazing.
Yeah, that was a no minor miracle for Max to have a baby. Yeah. So he's out, right? So then Friday afternoon, our backup CS guy that was supposed to support him has some unexpected health stuff. And he goes, hey man, I can't do this. I got to take some like time and go get well, and resigns. So, as of Friday night, like I am CEO, sales, and support team of the fastest growing AI startup in real estate.
Yeah.
I think I called Jamie. Jamie's like my right hand. She works through everything with me. She's trucking through this. I called her and she's like, how are you not freaking out? I'm like, because it's going to be fine. Like, there's going to be some people that are going to get upset because we're going to be slow to get back to them. I will call them myself and apologize. Like, stuff's going to break. We're going to miss things. But guess what? Like, Max had a new baby. Kyle's going to be healthy. That's all that matters.
Yeah.
And I think when you like frame it for yourself in a way that it's like, yeah, this sucks. Yeah. Yes. Yesterday I worked from 4:40 in the morning until 11 o'clock at night and I'm tired, but like, it's a gift, right?
Yeah.
Like, it's a gift that I get to do that. I'll sleep sometime. It'll be fine. Like, this is temporary. And I think I have a wife that, even though she gets frustrated with me sometimes and is like, hey, can we just like hang out and will you put your laptop away? She also gets it. And I think, and I'm just rambling at you, but one final thought on this. When I was a kid, I played sports, right? And I learned pretty quick, like I couldn't run faster or jump higher than most people, but I was like strategic and I would figure things out. And so for me, like you're a kid and you're especially a little boy, you watch the guys on TV throwing baseballs and basketballs and you're like, that's who you want to be, right? And I think the cool part about business is that in today's world, we have business people that are as or more famous, that are as or more successful than those sports figures that we idolized growing up. And like when it clicks for you that like, it doesn't just have to be baseball or basketball, it can be business and it can be like the game of life. That's really fun. And it's like, I don't think I work any harder than LeBron or any of those guys do. Those guys work their ass off.
But you have more hours in the day.
Meaning like my day is not 24 hours. That's more than that.
Right. No, I'm being facetious by saying that, right? Like you're able to accomplish what you accomplish and you don't have more time than they have.
No. And the reality is I'm pretty deliberate about how I spend my time. Like if you look at my calendar, it's gross. It starts at 5:30 or 6 and it's like scheduled all the way until like 6 or 7 at night. And that's just, I think any successful person, you're going to look at their calendar and you're going to see that. And I had a real privilege to work with Chris Heller for a decade. Chris was the CEO of Keller Williams for a period of time. He's now CRO at Place. And like you hear people say like, oh, if it's not in your calendar, it doesn't exist and things like that. And I remember the first time I went to an annual convention with Chris when he was a CEO. And I was working with Victoria, his assistant. And I was like, hey, I need to meet with Chris. I just need 15 minutes. She's like, great, because that's how long you got. Here's the calendar. And I looked and he was scheduled from like 6 a.m. to 9 p.m. in 15-minute increments to meet with people. And she's like, it's a walking meeting. You're going to meet him here and you're going to walk to there. And that's like, he doesn't have any more time than I do.
Right.
It's just that like, you know, all work expands to fill the time allotted, right? So if you give yourself an hour to do something, it takes an hour. If you give yourself 5 minutes, it takes 5 minutes.
Right. Which I know the interesting thing is, even for us planning this podcast, you know, we have a very tight time parameter, like going to start at a certain time and then we've got to let you off so that you can go to your next one at the same time. But it's working within those parameters and knowing what you have to work with to be most effective. One of my favorite things to do is I'll set an alarm and say, okay, I'm going to work on this project for this amount of time. And I'll set that alarm. And as soon as the alarm goes off, I'm done with that project and I move on. But then I have to race the clock, you know?
Yeah.
That's right.
Okay. So, right. And I want to add one thought for specifically to like help agents. I've seen, I don't know, 30 or 40,000 agents across my career that I've had like direct interaction with and worked with them on lead conversion and things like that. The difference between the people that are getting what they want and the people that aren't is their willingness to interrogate reality. Every day you see agents that they show up to the office, they log into the computer and they sit there and, you know, they're on Facebook and they're busy. Like they're creating stuff in Canva, they're posting, they're doing whatever. but the business isn't keeping up with their busyness. Like, meaning there's a disconnect between what they're getting and what they're doing. And we have a little group right now going in Slack where there's about 300 agents. And I wrote a script in BrokerBot where it would go and look at your CRM. And it would look at everything in your CRM. You would go through a little exercise, tell it what your goals are. Then it would go look at everything in your calendar. And it would just give you this purely reflective version of reality that says, does your audio match your video? Of 300 agents, you know how many clicked on it and did it? 2.
It's crazy.
Because people don't want to step on the scale, man. They realize that, like, they know they're not doing exactly what they should be doing. And so the difference between top performers and everybody else is the top performer says the goal is more important than the comfort. And so, like, coach, push me. And if you go seek that, like, you'll just go further faster, and you'll find people that are going to, that will push you. Like, people will push you if you ask. And you just sign up to be uncomfortable. And
it feels like, though, so many agents nowadays don't want to be uncomfortable. You know, they don't want to be pushed. They don't want accountability, but they want to complain when the business is not rolling in or their brokerage is not providing them with the business, right? Yeah. How do you challenge people to accept accountability?
Yeah. I think they have to make that decision, right? Like, the reality is, if you went and you stood in front of a gas station long enough with a sign that says, like, I sell houses, talk to me for more info. If you stood there long enough, you'd get a piece of business.
Yes.
But these people will create a story that says, like, well, I'm not a panhandler. I'm not willing to do that. Okay, so go broke instead. Like that. And I've seen people literally make that choice where I've talked to an agent and I've said, okay, well, let's look at what you did in the CRM. You talked to 8 people this week. If each of those conversations took, call it 30 minutes, which they didn't, that means you worked 4 hours of a 40-hour week. That means you took 90% unpaid time off. Your boss should fire you. But the problem is you're your boss and you're too easy on yourself.
Yeah. And one of the things, so first off, you've given us a lot of nuggets so far. And I just want to say, when you talk about, calendar starting at 4:30 in the morning or 5:30 in the morning and then going to 11 o'clock at night, some days, what I'm hearing from you is I will do what it takes to be successful. And now for our audience, here's what I want you to know. Yesterday, we had an issue. It was actually an issue that I had when I went into BrokerBot and I was using it for a specific task. And Maximo did not respond to us. We got an actual response from Jeremiah. So Jeremiah, you're talking about it, but I can actually verify what you're saying is true. You are in that do what it takes mindset. How do we get agents into that mindset?
Man, oh man. If I knew the answer to that, Mark.
Yeah. You'd be a multi-billionaire.
Yeah. I think I don't know that I don't like putting agents in a box that's different from humans, because I actually think that's a human thing. Most of the people that listen to this will die with less than they have today alone, and they'll do what they've always done. And that's the harsh truth. Yeah. Somebody is going to hear that statement I just made and go, holy shit. And they're going to wake up and they're going to go, I don't want to be that guy or that girl. Yeah. And they're going to do something about it. And people think that life happens to them. Like the number of agents where I've had this conversation of like, well, have you thought about blah, 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 blah. And like, look, just do this. And they go, well, that's easy for you. And I'm like, well, what do you mean that's easy for me? And they're like, well, it's easy for you, but I can't do it that way. I go, well, if you say so, like, you're right. You're going to be like, whether you think you're wrong, you think you're right. You're right.
You're right. My mom used to say, can't, never, could, do nothing.
Yeah, that's right.
When you say you can't do it, you can't.
Yeah. I had a friend that he played like mid-level sports, and his coach said, can't means won't means push-ups, hit the deck, boy.
I'm a coach, so that's great. I love that.
Yeah. Please feel free to license that one.
I'm going to steal it. I'm totally not even going to tell you that I'm stealing it, but I'm stealing it. So, well, I want to get into AI. Okay. Every time you talk about AI, my mind is blown. You started BrokerBot. Talk to me about BrokerBot. Why BrokerBot?
Yeah. You know what's really funny is this is like a be careful what you ask for moment, because when we started with BrokerBot, I was like, oh, this is like a pretty easy way to explain what it does. It's a bot and it answers broker questions. And now and I never really liked the name. And now there's so many people that use it. We have so much press, like I'm stuck. I can't change the name, which is funny. But I'll like take a step back to how we got here. The reality is the real estate industry is changing. There's lawsuits, there's the DMLSing of the world, there's commission pressure, everything's changing. Artificial intelligence is changing the way that people build and interface with technology. Those change moments happen once, maybe twice in a generation, and there's a tremendous amount of wealth created. And so to me, it was opportunistic. Now, when we started in early 2023, and we had like 5 ideas before we came up with this thing called BrokerBot, and the first 5 were bad. Like they got a little traction and then they didn't work for some reason or another. And so like people look at our company and they're like, wow, you guys just started in 2025 and you swiped your first credit card in June of 2025 and now you're going to be at $1 million in the first year, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, well, nobody talks about the like 2.5 years before that of trying stuff that didn't work. And then the like 22 years before that of learning how the industry works to be able to figure it out.
Right.
So that's why I say gradually than something. But anyways, why BrokerBot? Look, what's really interesting is if you look at artificial intelligence technology, the majority of the world is using ChatGPT. The majority of the like learned business world is using ChatGPT or some comp for that. The far other end of that spectrum is what's happening in developer tools. In the last 12 months, the job of a software engineer has fundamentally changed. Most of them don't go hands on keyboard to write code anymore. They use their voice to talk to an agent that orchestrates a team of agents that are writing code and building products. And so what that has done, it's like totally changed the way that you ship and build technology. It's completely changed the pace of building technology. And so there are like the software industry is just being wildly disrupted by this in terms of the way that it works and how things work and how people work. Real estate historically has been really, really slow to change because it's a highly regulated, highly localized space. And so it takes this really neat, unique blend of like technology, infrastructure, and industry understanding to do what we're doing. And there's a bunch of like pre-AI native companies that are now trying to bolt in AI agents to their CRM or whatever they are. And like, they'll kind of figure it out. They'll get some stuff that works. And then there's a bunch of companies with no scale that are doing things similar to what we're doing that are like, oh, I created a chatbot for, Southern California, Los Angeles, MLS or whatever it is, right? Doing it what we're doing, which is like, we're creating a platform that allows you to build a thing at any local level that's regulation aware, that works on any channel with any CRM and is the brain of every residential brokerage in America. That's like, I think the majority of people look at that and they're like, sounds awesome. Where do you start? And the answer is you start with a beachhead. And the beachhead was like, can we get the thing to consistently answer a broker question in one brokerage, then 2, then 5, now 250. And it's, the thing with tech that's really interesting is like, and I appreciate you bringing up what you said yesterday, like, is we had something go sideways, you guys send in a ticket and we take every one of those seriously. We jump on them and try to figure out what happened. That's what you do as an early stage entrepreneur. Like this $2,000 cell phone drops calls all the time, randomly resets, like doesn't work. The difference
you must be are you on an Android?
No, it's like the brand new Apple device.
I'm kidding.
Right. But like Apple has enough brand affinity to where people kind of like ignore it. And I think that that's the hardest thing about being an early stage tech company is that like you can lose users really fast when things don't work. And so we try to do a good job just setting expectations like, hey, There's going to be things that don't work. Probably actually works better than ChatGPT most of the time. But anytime it doesn't work, it becomes like a panic alarm for us. And we go immediately figure it out and let you know that we're on it. And I think that buys us some space. Going back to your question of like, why BrokerBot, why now, et cetera. Today, the AI tools that most of us work with are like smart enough to be dangerous. Okay.
Right.
And the reason I say they're dangerous is because you don't know the difference between when it's right and when it's wrong. And there's no way as a user for you to evaluate that. So you have to put your trust in the builder of the bot, not the bot itself. Fast forward 6 months from now, the way that these CLI agents are coming to life, and CLI means command line interface. So picture back in the day, you'd be on your computer, you'd be like, yo, I got a problem. And somebody would parachute in via like log me in or whatever, and they would take control of your computer and they would operate it remotely, right? That's what these command line agents can do is we're basically giving Claude Code access to the command line interface in your computer, and they're able to run it just like log me in. So anything you do on your computer, you can do there. The one that's got the most press is the thing called OpenClaw, where people got into trouble is they installed OpenClaw on their personal machine and just were like, do things. And they gave it no parameters, no guardrails, and it would just go log into their bank account and move all the money to pay for more tokens because it ran out. And like, so you're getting into this world where it's very human-like in the way that it interacts. And it is a truly disproportionate shift in people's throughput. And so what I tell all of our customers, I did a panel yesterday with some brokers, is I said, y'all need to look around the room and you need to look at who in your organization is 3 to 5 times more productive than they were last year. And they're actually spending less time doing it. And you need to fire everybody else because that person gets it. And the business of the future is very much a people business, but everybody's going to have to go through this like cycle where they learn that like what you did yesterday is not what you do tomorrow. Right. And it's this like AI reflexive type of thinking where it's like, you just go ask the AI agent to do the thing that you need it to do. And you don't sit around and wait for somebody to help you. And for the people that don't do that, it's going to be like they're running a race and all of a sudden they look around and everybody's gone. Like how did I get left so far behind? Because it's just a different world that we're in now.
So, one thing I would love for you to explain, because I try to explain this to the agents within my brokerage and everyone that I talk to about your platform, like the first question would be, why can't I just pay for the absolute premium of ChatGPT? Okay. So I think I pay $60 a month for their, I don't know, premium pro, whatever their high level version is, where you can go into thinking mode. I mean, doesn't that get me the accurate results that I need? And why do I need another platform like BrokerBot in my real estate business?
So I'll give you a really concrete example. So in the thing that you sent yesterday, what you were trying to do is you gave 41 pages of comps to BrokerBot. And you said, hey, I have a presentation. I want you to go do research on the internet for these. And then you asked it to kind of like pick the best comps and do a CMA. All right.
Right.
I have it's the top tier of ChatGPT is $200 a month. And before I responded to your email, I was like, yeah, this did take a while because it took like 5 minutes to do it. And it hung in the middle of it too, which is super annoying. And I'm going to go figure out why that's happening. And eventually we'll fix that. Eventually it got done and it was like pretty good, but it was slow. Right. So I went to ChatGPT. I popped it into ChatGPT and I was like, go. And it just like spit it out. And I was like, how did it do it so fast? So then I start looking and I'm like, oh, what's this? And so I start clicking on the links, and the links that it used were stale links that were memory links from September of 2025. And so like the output was mega wrong. And I was like, oh, I need to use deep research. So I went back, put it in deep research and set it to run again. 23 minutes later, it kicked out a thing. And I like read it and it was really deep. And I'm like, I mean, interesting, still needs some tweaking. It's pretty good. And then I stuck the thing that our machine kicked out on top of it. And I was like, how would you like reconcile these two things? And they're pretty darn close. So the answer is, pretend for a minute that you wanted it to do something slightly different. Like you wanted to virtually stage an image or generate a flyer of that thing. Now you also need the $100 a month Gemini thing. And then pretend for a minute you want it to actually like take all that and email it off. Now you also need the $100 a month Claude Cowork thing. So now we're up to like $400 a month, and none of those platforms talk to each other, and you get the privilege of like bouncing between them. In BrokerBot, we bring together all the models of those, and we use the right tool for the job in our orchestrator, and then we connect all your tools. So I think I might have turned on Follow Up Boss in Canva for you yesterday to like test with. If I didn't, I can turn it on. But when you put it all in one place, and then the machine can dynamically switch across the models, we're probably not going to do any one thing better than everything. But what we can do is do all of the things as well as the best things. And that's really what we're looking at, is how do you use the right tool for the job?
So if I use ChatGPT, I'm using their model. Yeah. But you're telling me if I'm using BrokerBot, I'm using all of these models?
Yeah. So when we started the company, we went out and we set data privacy standards, and we said they can't use any of our data for training data for the future iterations of the model. They can't resell any of the data. They can't like share any of the data. It has to be completely enterprise grade. There's two reasons for that. Number one is like, if you're going to sell to big organizations, like we have a deal with Keller Williams Realty International, you can't do that deal if you're not an enterprise grade software solution. Number two is, as a broker, pretend for a minute that you have something that like goes really sideways, and that you have a conversation with an attorney about that thing. And then your agent goes and takes some portion of that conversation with the attorney and dumps it into the $20 a month ChatGPT. ChatGPT is considered a public use tool, and you've just completely revoked all of your attorney-client privilege, unless every single agent in your org has an enterprise license for these softwares that don't allow it to have training data or anything like that. And I don't think people appreciate the risk that creates. So we went out, we vetted all these models. We bench test them to understand the strengths and weaknesses of the different models. And I'll tell you, like, probably 90% of what we do is handled by Anthropic Sonnet 4.6, Gemini 3.0 Pro, and we use very little GPT, because like the new GPT 5.3 scores the worst on all of our benchmarking.
Really? Wow.
For most of this stuff. And we'll use like Mistral and some of these niche models that are really good at parsing documents. And that probably makes up like 80 to 90% of what we use. And like, what's interesting is we started talking about this like model mixture a year ago, and people are like, I don't know if I care about this. Well, look at what Perplexity just did. Perplexity just said, we're no longer building foundation models. We're going to use Claude, Gemini, et cetera. And so when you use their computer thing that's $200 a month plus credits, like it's orchestrating all the different models. And we're like, hey, maybe we are smarter than we thought.
Right.
There's really smart people doing this.
So first off, I'm going to have two questions, but first question is, can an individual agent get BrokerBot, or is it only through their brokerage?
So they can go sign up on the website. The difference when they get it from their brokerage is, like at NavX, you all have uploaded all your policies and procedures. Right. You've done a tremendous amount of training on the local rules and regs. You've got your brand in there. There's a bunch of like training data that brings Mark Peebles' brain into the NavX AI system. Yeah. What that individual agent is going to get is an empty shell for $250 a month that they get the privilege to go do all that themselves.
Right. Which is one of the things we've loved about it. So if an agent calls and they're like, hey, where do we find our W-9? And I say call because you guys have that as an option. We can actually call a number, talk to it, it'll email it to us, So if I need my W-9 for a referral, or if I put in that I'm looking for the company logo, it pulls up the link to that stuff. And that's one of the things that I do love about it. But let's go here just in the essence of time, because I realize I'm going to be very respectful of your time today. But if someone was wanting to use BrokerBot, what are the top 5 things that will make their life better using BrokerBot?
Do you mind if I just answer generically for AI?
Yeah,
So
that's fine. Let's do that. Let's do that.
Number one is AI is the most helpful thought partner that you'll find. Like, I'll go in the morning and I'll hike like as the sun's coming up, and I'll have an idea, and I'll just like start talking to AI about like, hey, this is what I'm thinking about. What am I not thinking about? How should I do this? If I was trying to do that, how would I do this? And I think it's actually made me a better thinker, because I'm like using it to push and pull. So that would be number one. Number two is, if you're not using some AI thing to manage your email, like, you're missing the boat, man. I get an extraordinary amount of email, like close to 1,000 a day at this point.
Totally get it.
And so I use a thing called Shortwave. For me, what Shortwave allows me to do is I can go in there and say like, hey, I know I got this podcast coming up. Can you find me the link to it? And like, it'll just go hunt through my email and say it's here. Now we can do that inside of BrokerBot. But I manage my email separately because I share it with somebody else that Jamie's in it all day too. Also, what that allows you to do is to create playbooks. So it's like, hey, like for me, I'm constantly emailing out like, oh, there's one pagers, there's these things that I'm sending. All those repetitive things, they're just playbooks that you give to your AI assistant. So whether that assistant is BrokerBot or Shortwave or Claude Cowork, it doesn't matter. Like, anything that you do repetitively, it should just like, you shouldn't be doing those things. You should have an AI assistant doing those. Then I think the third is at any sort of like analysis that you have to do. Okay. So meaning like what you were trying to do the other day, running comps, looking up things on the internet, comparing this thing versus that thing, multiple offers. You should be, the experience that your customers have buying and selling real estate from you today in April 1st of 2026 should be at least 100% better than the experience that they had in 2025, because AI should be able to put every single one of the dates from their contract into your calendar and theirs. Absolutely. You should have world-class communication at every step of the process. You should have plenty of time back so that you can be thoughtful about what they're looking for. You should be able to like summarize and review every inspection report and verify things with permits. Like, you should just be a better agent because you just got a lot of time back with AI. And then I think the last thing, because you asked for 5, is you just have like the world at your fingertips to be more curious. And I would really be asking myself, is this thing that I'm doing the best, like that I've done for a long time, the best way that I could be doing this?
Yeah. What I love about that, the curiosity piece, is, we used to, when we were curious, we used to go in and Google something. Well, Google's kind of limited on what it's always provided you. And I do love that, because I'm very curious when I'm watching something and they mention some landmark. I want to know all about that landmark, and so I can be more curious instead of having to dig through a website somewhere to find it. I can get that summary with AI. And I love that. I feel like we can go on. Like, I could probably go 2 hours with you, and we don't have that kind of time. Here's what I want to do today. One, we're going to call this part 1 because we're going to have to do a part 2 down the road. I'm going to have to bring you back on. And guess what? AI's probably changed by the time I bring you back on because it seems like it's changing so fast. But I want to ask you a few questions because we want to get to know you a little bit more.
Cool.
And so in our last few minutes here, let's just hit some of the questions that we ask every guest. And so the first thing, Jeremiah, you've been very successful, but I want to know who's behind the success. Who is the person in your life that you would say has had the greatest influence on you? And you know, if it weren't for this person, I wouldn't be here today.
I have a long list of those people in my life. I'm really blessed to have those people, but there's one that stands head and shoulders above everybody else, and that's my wife.
Awesome.
She met me, her and I met when I was 28, and I played more Guitar Hero than I did any work at the time. And she had these 2 little girls. I was like, I'm never having kids, dude. And I was business partners with her twin sister's husband. That's the map. And we would just hang out all the time. And like, there were these 2 kids that were there, and they were just the coolest kids. And I was like, maybe kids are kind of cool. And then we would hang out all the time. And one day I was like, hey, you want to go get dinner? And she's like a date? And I was like, what? Friends can't have dinner? And it was the single best objection handler of my life. And we just kind of been together ever since. That was like almost 20 years ago. And she like literally, I think, saw and pushed me to grow up from being a boy to a man, and like has been my sidekick throughout the whole thing. And I was real broke. Like, we had a baby, we got food stamps. She was the breadwinner when we first met, not me. Cause I'm not joking about the Guitar Hero thing. I was awesome. I was awesome.
But you were good at it, right? Yeah, right.
I was good. I was really good. I get expert mode, everything. Unfortunately, not a good transferable life skill, really. Anyhow, so my wife.
That's awesome. Okay. What does ultimate success look like for you in life? What would people look back at, or you look back and say, man, I've achieved ultimate success in my life?
Freedom of time. Like, I want the day, and that doesn't mean that like I would do nothing. I think people, like a lot of people are like, oh, I want freedom of time because I just want to lay on the couch all day. Freedom of time to me means like, when I get that feeling of obligation of like, ugh, I got to do this thing that I don't want to do, that I can just say no. Yeah. And part of the fun of being a founder is that you get a little taste of that. There's a lot of dog shit that you got to eat to do things you don't really want to do. But that's the biggest thing to me. It's like freedom of time.
Awesome. Okay. So give me a life lesson that you have learned the hard way that you wish someone had just told you sooner.
I don't know that I would have listened. If anyway, I'm pretty hard-headed. I think one of Anthony Shea said this to me. Anthony's the founder of Loan Depot, super smart dude, billionaire, like just cool cat. Had the privilege to work with him. And the biggest thing I learned from him, and I'm going to miss his phrasing, was something along the lines of like, it doesn't matter the scale of the enterprise that you build, it's going to be hard. So why not build something big? Yeah. You know, what I've realized in my career is that it was easier, more fun, and less stressful when we had 500-600 agents in a brokerage than when you had 5.
Yep. That's good. All right. Last question. I want to know about your daily routine. When Jeremiah jumps out of bed, what does your routine for the day look like?
You want me to do what everybody else does and make up what I think I should be doing? Tell you what it actually looks like.
I want to know what you do, because I believe highly successful people have some form of routine in their lives. Yeah. And maybe yours is that you don't. So tell me.
Yeah, no. I do a few things to set myself up for success. Number one, so I set my alarm. I put my phone far enough away that it causes me to put my feet on the floor before I can turn it off. If you don't like, there's a really real thing about like your first decision of the day is, do you get up when the alarm goes off? And if you win that decision, like everything else is easier.
Yeah, that's true.
So just set yourself up for success. Like put it far enough away that you don't snooze. I really like to get some sort of like exercise, something quiet time by myself in the morning. And sometimes that's doing email. Sometimes it's just wandering around. Sometimes it's the Peloton. But
Yep.
like that morning quiet time is my like reset. And it's really hard right now because I'm Pacific time. And we have customers everywhere. And so
Wow.
I have phone calls where I'm on Zoom at 6 a.m. So that's why I get up so early, just to have that little bit of headspace. Um, Beyond that, I generally know what's on my schedule, what I'm going to be doing for the day. And I have it pretty well planned. I almost always try to like just stop for an hour and have dinner and hang out with my wife and my daughter and like our dogs and do our thing. Um, and then try not to go to bed too late, like usually 10 or
Yep.
11 at the latest. And, there's a lot of stuff I would like to do that's different, but it's generally that. And I try to stay pretty highly scheduled.
Yeah. Yeah. The highly scheduled piece, I think that is important. If you have nothing on your calendar for the day, the problem is that I find is with myself and most people is you waste the day. So I feel like you have to schedule, even if you have nothing to do, you should be driving more business, right? That
Yeah.
should be on your schedule.
Yeah. And look, would it maybe help somebody if I just show you what my calendar looks like? Because I
Yeah,
think
let's do
most
it.
people, when they see my calendar,
So,
and
so if
please
you're listening to
blur
the
out the
podcast, you won't see
details.
this, but go on YouTube where you'll see Jeremiah's
Yeah.
calendar.
Blur out the details. This is
Yeah.
my calendar this week.
Whoa. That's
So
amazing.
the first thing starts at 6, and I generally try to end at 5, and there's a date night on Fridays. Like,
Sweet.
to me, that's normal.
Yeah.
When most people see that, they have like a like a little glitch moment. But
Yeah.
it's life. You want to get a lot done, you got to pack it all in. Nobody has more time than anybody else.
I love it. That's awesome. Well, okay. We've had part one. I know you're on a time crunch today, and I so appreciate you taking the time to be on with us. Will you come back for a part two at some point?
Yeah, 100%. We'll
Good.
do a part 2.
I put you on the spot, so you had to say yes. There was really no choice.
No,
Hey,
I
man,
would have done it anyways. I like you guys.
Jeremiah, where can someone find you if they want to learn more about you, more about BrokerBot?
Yeah, so I'm at J Taylor Realtor on all the socials. BrokerBot's at BrokerBot on all the socials. We're lucky enough to get all that stuff. So easiest way to find me is probably on LinkedIn, or just go to brokerbot.ai and send us a note at sales, and I will respond. And appreciate you having us on, Mark. You guys are doing something special at NavX. I think it's really cool. I think what you are doing with the podcast is really cool. And you've done a really good job assembling a team of people that like collaborate and work and do things and care about each other. And I'm a big fan, man. So anything
I honestly don't know what I would do without my people, man. I can experience all the success in the world, but without the people that I have, none of it happens. I have an amazing team. I'm very blessed. So, and your people too. And I want to say, so, and I know I'm going to get you off here, but, one of the things with BrokerBot is they'll let you white label it for your brokerage. And so we white labeled ours. And what did we name it? We named it Max AI, specifically after Maximo, because he is all over it. I'm so happy for him having a baby, but man, we're going to miss him for a few weeks because he is so good on the service side. And we just appreciate all of you at BrokerBot. Encourage you guys, go check him out. This is a tool. It really, you still got to do the work, but this is a tool that makes the work a lot easier. And we're going to talk more about AI in the future with Jeremiah. But for now, Jeremiah, thank you so much for being on today. You're awesome, and continued success with BrokerBot.
My pleasure. I'm going to go text Max right now. I don't know if he knows this. He's going to freak out if he doesn't know
I think we told him that, but we love Max. He's awesome. So,
yeah,
all right.
Awesome. Thanks, man.
Thanks,
Y'all have
man.
a good one. Talk to you soon.